In this concept video, we're going to look at reciprocal trig functions. Reciprocal means basically flip it over, right? Or put 1 over whatever you have. So, looking over here, I have cosecant is 1 over sine, and then secant is 1 over cosine, and cotangent is 1 over tangent. Please make sure that you don't go by letters. Cosecant and sine don't have the same beginning letter, and secant and cosine do not have the same beginning letter. Do not confuse them. They don't go together by letter because they mean different things. So memorize the fact that cosecant and sine go together, secant and cosine go together, and cotangent and tangent go together. And if we look at 1 over sine, that's basically flipping over the sine. So instead of sine being opposite over hypotenuse, we have cosecant being hypotenuse over opposite. And secant is hypotenuse over adjacent, and cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So we're basically going to flip over the fractions. Let's look at our first triangle here. We have our theta is here, so you are standing right here, and opposite you is 4, and adjacent to your foot is 7, and we're missing the hypotenuse over here. Since this is a right triangle, we can use Pythagorean theorem. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and our a is 4 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. And we have 16 plus 49 equals c squared. And 16 and 49 is 65. We're not done because we have the squared, so we have to square root both sides. So the hypotenuse ends up being square root of 65. Then when I'm doing sine, I have opposite, which is 4 over hypotenuse, which is square root of 65. So I have 4 over root 65. We cannot have square roots in the bottom, so we rationalize the denominator by multiplying by square root of 65 over square root of 65, and that is 4 root 65 over 65. And then my cosine is adjacent, which is 7 over hypotenuse. So we have 7 over root 65. Again, we cannot have a square root in the bottom, so we multiply by square root of 65 over square root of 65. So that is 7 root 65 over 65. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent, which is 4 over 7. And then what I would do is I would take the initial value, so I don't have to rationalize again, and I would flip them over. So cosecant is sine flipped over, so I have root 65 over 4. Notice there's no square root in the bottom. If you flipped this over, you'd have to rationalize again. So I would start with the initial ones. And then secant is cosine flipped over, so that would be root 65 over 7. And then tangent and cotangent go together, so that would be 7 over 4. And now we have all 6 trig functions. Go ahead, pause it, and try number 2. Okay, let's look at number 2. We have theta here, so I'm standing right here. And opposite me is this side, and then adjacent to my foot is my 5, and then across from the right angle is my hypotenuse. So again, we're missing a side. This time it's not the hypotenuse, it's actually the opposite. So I have 5 squared plus b squared equals square root of 37 squared. So we have 25 plus b squared equals 37. Subtract 25. So we have b squared equals 37 minus 25 is 12, and we root both of those. And we get b equals root 12, but we know 12 is 4 times 3, and the square root of 4 is 2, and 3 doesn't have a friend, so they stay inside the house. So then this opposite side is really 2 root 3. Then we can start our sine, cosine, tangent. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so I have 2 root 3 over root 37. Can't have a denominator with 37 in it. So then I get 2 root 37 times 3. So we have 111 over 37. And then cosine is adjacent, which is 5 over root 37. Multiply by root 37. And we get 5 root 37 over 37. And then tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we end up with 2 root 3 over 5. And there's no square root in the denominator, so I'm good to go with that. So then we go ahead and take these and flip them over. So I get, oh look, the first one, 2 root 3 over root 37. So I have root 37 over 2 root 3. Now in this case I only need to rationalize the denominator with the root. So I multiply by root 3 over root 3. I don't have to worry about the 2. So on the top I have root 111 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And then secant, I'm going to go ahead and flip over root 37 over 5. And then cotangent is going to end up being 5 over 2 root 3, but then I can't have the root 3 in the bottom. So I have 5 root 3 over root 3 times root 3 is 3 times 2 is 6. So this is my cotangent, this is my secant, and this is my cosecant. Go ahead and do number 3 for homework.